We all need to go and shelter them. We all need to comfort them too. The people provide them respect. God will provide them love. Indian elders pray for them. Soon it will rain as love.
Well, welcome again to our show. It's called Another Option. Another Option is a show which we're hoping that gives people the understanding that there is other ways to get healthy, other ways to treat an illness, and another option for you to just be well. Where we're going to start, as always, I just want to give a little thoughts about, a little food for thought about what's been happening lately. That evil has reared his evil head again and again and again and again. There was people were so up in arms about a gorilla getting shot. Little that they knew, in Chicago that same weekend, 6 people got killed. And they weren't talking about that, they were talking about the gorilla. I just happened to read about those 6 killings in Chicago, and when you read them, you'll say, you can understand why these people got killed. It wasn't like a random shooting. The first person who got killed, it was due to a domestic violence. He got arrested for domestic violence the week before, so I guess that the woman's family took him out. Another case, there was a kid, I guess in his early 20s, that was connected to a gang, and he was going on Facebook disrespecting the other gang. Bang, he's out. The next, there was another person. He was having a problem with his wife, but they were separated, but he was over the house to see the child that they have. He goes outside, he gets murdered. To find out that he had a list of a rap sheet against him. So once again, this is not a random shooting. I don't think it's healthy, I don't think it's right, but just to put a comparison to that person going into that club in Orlando, that's random. That's you hear all these reports, and you tend not to really think about, is it true or is it not true, that he was a regular there, which I think is kind of absurd that he would come back and shoot him, because some of these people he must have known. But the issue that I have is that in the Second Amendment we have the right to bear arms. But the problem that, not everybody who gets an assault weapon is going to go and do mass murder. Some people are just going to go into the woods and do mass murder to animals. But the thing is, there's a book called Small is Beautiful by E.F. Schumacher. He was an economist at the London School of Economics. And what he says in the book that, the subtitle of the book is Economics as If People Mattered. And what he says in the book to stop terrorism, which I'm going to call random shooting terrorism, is to stop making bullets. Because now you have the right to have the arms. The NRA will be happy they can have their guns, but they just won't have any bullets. So they can go so this person would have gone to this club, bang, 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 bang. How many people would have got killed? Nobody. The gorilla, well, they were going to have to lasso him. But the thing is that, but the problem is in our society and our way of thinking, there's always going to be a black market where there's going to be somebody who's going to be making bullets to make money. But if we don't mass produce them, then there's that old adage: if they outlaw bullets, only outlaws will have them. But then the police will have them. So maybe the police shouldn't have them. Maybe they just have sticks. See, the whole point, I just don't want to make it so simplistic, but the point is there's something wrong. And it's not the gun. The gun has nothing to do with it. The bullets do, but the gun doesn't. It's the person who has the guns. You can have all these checks or all this stuff about, but it's somehow there's our society that people have this desire to shoot other people. You know, I've heard my dad tell me he wanted to shoot my head off, but I don't understand why. Because my dad had to take him to the doctors. He was a little agitated. My dad, if you know, he's in a nursing home. And so I go to pick him up to take him to the doctor, and we have to get into a taxi. He was so agitated. I said, Dad, what are you doing? He says, well, I couldn't understand what he said. Dad, we got to go to the doctors now. Then he says, I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to blow everybody away. I said, Dad, what are you talking about? My dad is in early stages of dementia. I said, Dad, what are you talking about? He says, Dad, we got to go. And this lady next to him says, you should listen to your father. I said, lady, we got to go to the doctors now. And so then my father says, you know, if I had a gun, you would be the first person I'll blow his head off. I said, Dad, I'm your son. You can't say that. So he got calmed down as we got to the doctors. And then right in the middle of the doctor, he starts saying, you know, my son John, you know, he doesn't listen. You know, if I had a gun, I would blow his head off. I go, wow, that's really an odd thing to say to your son. But then again, I don't pay it any mind. Because one, he doesn't know how to shoot a gun. Two, he doesn't have a gun. And if somebody's sneaking him into the nursing home, well, there's nothing I can do about that. But the whole point of bringing up my dad is that my dad really didn't, I don't know if he was subjected to, they put on the news in the nursing home, and they're getting bombarded with that. And that's what they pick up out of that is to shoot people. I don't know if that's where people are getting this inspiration to do this. You know, I don't know if I have the inspiration to go into a nightclub and kill anybody. Doesn't even go into my mind. I probably would go to the nightclub to enjoy the music, have a couple of brews, and be happy. But why would this person or anybody? See, that's where we have an imbalance. And what we're going to talk about tonight is celiac disease. But what about the celiac that the connect is I'm not connecting it to celiac, but we have an imbalance in the liver where people do not think correctly. And by that way, they just think what they're doing is right. So Charleston Heston, is he still alive? I can't remember if he's alive or not. You got to think, Charles, about this. You know, it's good that people have guns, people can go hunting, people can go to rifle ranges. I have no problem with that. I just have a problem where people are killing other people. Because again, it's what people don't realize, and it happened in Newtown, it happened. It doesn't just affect the people who got killed. Now you got all these people all around the country that are related. Now they got to go through all this. For what? For some senseless killing. And this time, as always, they killed the killer. So you never find out why he did it. We can all guess, well, maybe it was this, maybe it was that, but we don't know for sure. That's why, even though it was a tragedy in the Boston Marathon, they finally got one of these guys alive so we can find out what was the reason why they did it. So that it's got to be senseless anyway, but at least we get to hear how senseless it was, and then you can make your own assessment of what this person's character, their mental state, and then you can start thinking, I'm going to avoid that as much as possible. That could help other people. Don't do that. But right now, we live in a society where people are just not thinking. They're not caring. But as I said, we stop making bullets and have people going around with sticks. Then we'll probably hear, oh, this guy beat this person to death with a stick. For what reason? No reason. But today, I want to read, as always, from a book. It's called The Wisdom of Native Americans. Because we had a tune that played. The tune that played was done by a group called the Native Roots. And it's called, the song was, what was it? Rain Us Love. And that's what we need. We need to rain some love now, you know, especially the people in Orlando. Because I saw on the register, there's people, a person from this area got killed in the club, or injured or killed. So it's just not just an isolated incident. And so I'm going to read a little something from the wisdom of Native Americans. It says, "The way of the heart, my friends, how desperately do we need to be loved and loved." Okay. When Christ said to man, "Does not live by bread alone," he spoke of a hunger. This hunger was not a hunger of the body. It was not a hunger for food. He spoke of a hunger that begins deep down in the very depth of our being. He spoke of a need as vital as breath. He spoke of our hunger for love. Love is something you and I must have. We must have it because our spirit feeds upon it. We must have it because without it, we become weak and faint. Without love, our self-esteem weakens. Without it, our courage fails. Without it, love can no longer look out confidently at the world. We cannot look confidently out the world. We turn inward and begin to feed upon our own personalities. And little by little, we destroy ourselves. And that's what's happening. With it, we are creative. With it, we march tirelessly. With it, and without it alone, we are able to sacrifice for others. That's from my boy, Chief Dan George. See, that's what we need in this world. We need to find that hunger for love. That's what we need, to love, love, love. And from love, that's how we get healing, because that's what we need right now. And I don't really know how it's going to happen, because it's a very hard task to do. But I think if one person, each person at a time, if we can just give out that energy of healing, of love, that maybe one candle will light the next one, and we'll just keep lighting them, lighting them, lighting them. But hopefully things will change, but I don't know. Because I forgot to say, in the Middle East, a person says, "What are you going to do tonight?" I think I'm going to go down to, I'm going to go see a family member. I'm going to go to the grocery store, pick me up something, and they get on a bus and somebody gets on with a bomb. For what reason? Again, senseless killing. You know, at the rate they're going, there's not going to be too many people left. So I don't know what we're going to do after that. Because then it's going to get to the point, you used to hear it from women or groups of people, a couple, we're not going to bring any children, we're not going to have children because we don't want to bring something into this world. So if a lot of people thinking that, our population is going to shrink. But hopefully, as always, I hope that people know that change is coming, love is coming. So that possibility is always there. So I'm getting off my soapbox now. So what we're going to be talking about today is celiac disease, because I got a call from a woman that has it. And Chinese medicine, they don't really do diseases like that, you know, celiac, because that's a digestive problem. And that's what they've been treating since 5,000 years ago. But I'll just give you a little background of celiac. What is celiac disease? It's also known as celiac sperm. It's a celiac disease, an inherent autoimmune disorder that damages the small intestine when the diet contains gluten. Gluten is, which contains gluten. Okay, what causes celiac disease? Celiac disease tends to run in families, and other autoimmune conditions can be triggered by a physical stress, such as surgery, pregnancy, childbirth, and a viral infection. The person that called me, they got celiac from a viral infection. They got Lyme disease. So now from that perspective, how do you treat that? See, the key thing to treating something like that is, first of all, in Chinese medicine, the symptoms of celiac disease comes out to be a spleen deficiency. Symptoms like abdominal pains, cramping, bloating, abdominal distension, weight loss, loose stools are common experienced by celiac sufferers. But the thing is that while it's true that people suffer from symptoms of celiac disease, may have been tested and found to have the gene, there are many people that have the gene but do not have the discomforting symptoms of celiac disease. It's no difference to other people being tested and found that they have a genetic disposition to prostate cancer, but remains symptom-free all their lives. The point of that is that we live in a world where everything is saying it's inherent. Like women, in some cases, breast cancer runs in the family. Ovarian cancer runs in the family. Prostate cancer, but see, for me, it's hard to believe that it runs. I'm not a geneticist, but if it's not connected to genetics, then I don't think there's a connection, family like that. I just think that's an inherent thing that one person has. But again, I'm not a geneticist, so if it's with the genes, then that's something different. But not all people have that. But see, a lot of people say, well, my mother has it. This time, this woman is a mother and daughter. They got Lyme disease at the same time. So it's not inherent. They just happen to be in the wrong place, wrong time. Okay. Now, with autoimmune, so celiac is an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease or autoimmune disorder, as they sometimes refer, when the body produces an inappropriate immune response against its own tissues. The body's immune system becomes misdirected and attacks the very organs or cells or tissues that it was designed to protect. That means the immune system cannot tell the difference between a healthy body tissue or an antigen, bacteria, virus, or toxins, and will produce antibodies to attack and destroy its own cells, tissues, or organs. Now, the organ and tissues commonly affected by autoimmune diseases are the blood vessels, the connective tissues, the joints, the muscles, and the red blood cells. So what happens, people who have this may experience possible complications, like I said before, like severe infections that can be difficult to control due to taking immune suppressing medicine over a long period of time. See, lots of times when this woman that I was talking to, the first thing they wanted to do was give her antibiotics, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working because there was a show recently, I wasn't releasing about a year ago on PBS. It was about antibiotics. The problem with antibiotics was that they're giving them to animals. And they're just pumping so that the meat will be healthy. And what happens is that people buy that meat, and now they're eating antibiotics. So now when they need antibiotics, their body's not going to respond to it because it's overloaded with antibiotics. So in a case like that, the best thing to do, and what this person did was stop taking them. And now she's looking for another option, which I happen to know a show called Another Option. And so from there, we're going to see what's going to happen. See, now my approach is, why is Chinese medicine successful in treating autoimmune disorders? And this is the key. Before I read that, what people who have celiac disease has is a spleen qi deficiency. But the other, that's one hand, that's what they have. And the other one is the detoxification of the liver is the key and the priority. Why? We all know that the liver filters toxins from the body, and when the liver cannot function properly, these toxins will accumulate in our body. Our immune system will then be altered to react to the toxins. The toxins can exist in every cell, tissue, and organ, and the immune system can fight with them accordingly. But at the same time, the immune system will attack the cells, tissues, and organs that will lead to autoimmune disease. You know, once Once you remove the toxins from the body, it will make the misdirected immune system calm down and get back to their proper position, which is to guard our body from outside invaders like bacteria and viruses and help our body recover from illnesses. At the same time, the treatment emphasizes on the recovery of the organs and function. Thus, the person recovers from the disease and goes into remission. See, once again, in Chinese medicine, what that syndrome is called, it's called liver invading the spleen. And that's a very common ailment. You see it because like when people talk about digestive issues, there's so many of them. There is the, let's see, where is, okay. There is Crohn's disease, Graves' disease, UBS, the irritable bowel syndrome. See, all those things are all dealing with the stomach and the liver. Because what happens is the liver, as we said just a moment ago, the toxins, but what happens, the liver gets so misdirected in the sense that it's just overloaded, that it just backs up as what I just read, and it affects your digestion. But what's the key to the liver once it gets full of toxins is people start getting stressed out. And stress is the #1 reason that these digestive problems happen. Because the liver gets so tight, and now people are worrying, and their stomach gets upset now. And that's where all these digestive system problems begin. See, now I got another book. It's called Don't Sweat the Small Things. And it's all small things by Richard Carlson. You got to get to a point. I was treating some people today in the clinic, and I had to go get something. And when I came back, they asked me, "Where do you get so much energy?" I said, "What do you mean?" She says, you just got so much energy. I tell them because I don't think about anything. I don't mean that there's no thoughts in my head, but I'm not fixated on changing the world. You know, all I can do is do acupuncture, and I can give Chinese herbs. And if that can spark a change, then that's what I'm going to do. So now, going back to gluten, which we didn't talk about, see what they want to say that people should have a gluten-free diet. And the gluten is normally found in wheat. It's the largest source of gluten is wheat. So I guess they're going to, probably already have gluten-free beer and all that stuff now. Because I was in the store, I went to Whole Foods, I went into just a regular Stop and Shop. They got rolls of gluten-free. Is it that? I find it hard to believe that that many people have gluten problems. I just find it hard to believe. I don't find it hard to believe, as I said before, that people are stressed out. That's causing these stomach problems. And they're getting diagnoses. You got a gluten problem. But they're not telling them that be de-stressed. Because people, once they get that first stomach problem, they start worrying about it. And the woman, the last part of the intake form is there anything else you want to be helped with? And the person wrote, if I can remember, I want to feel happy that I don't have to worry about my stomach, which is an interesting concept, because again, we don't take things for granted. You shouldn't. That you have to work on your healing. But going back to wheat is the largest source, but smaller but significant amount of gluten are found in rye and barley. In oats, the gluten proteins cause only a very weak inflammation. The other allergic foods that might respond badly to the gluten, to the celiac, is fish, shellfish, peanuts, tree nuts, and milk. These food allergies do not cause damage to the intestinal villi, but instead causes skin rashes, and in some cases where people cannot breathe correctly. You know, one of those allergic reactions, you know, then they got to shoot themselves up and all that stuff. But the key is, what should people eat then? No gluten? I guess there's a whole new market for that. You don't eat gluten-free stuff. And sometimes that doesn't help. Because again, now you got to eat certain foods. It's almost like people have peanut allergies. Because once you get that smell of the peanuts, it just makes you sick. But basically, so how we do it in Chinese medicine is we work on the liver, we work on the spleen. And what we're going to do in the third half of the show, we're going to explain that the herbs that we're going to use, which I don't do on the show that often, but we're going to actually do an ancient Chinese formula. And ordinarily, I just talk about the herbs, but this time it's just I wanted to show that 5,000 years ago, they already knew what was going on. It wasn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. They already knew. And that's what makes Chinese medicine interesting and fascinating to me, is that it's written down. It's not an oral history where it's passed down from one person. No, they wrote it down. I guess they knew by now, if they kept an oral, by now people wouldn't even understand what it was. But and that's what makes it a key issue to me, is that it's written down. And one thing, when I was in herb school, in Chinese medical schools, the people have to memorize the herbs and the herb formulas. So when I went to herb school, when I was in acupuncture school, they wanted us to pretty much memorize. But when I went to herb school, the guy goes, somebody raised his hand, do we have to memorize the formula? And the guy says, no, why wouldn't you do that? Just look it up in a book. Hey, it sounds good to me. After memorizing all those things, good to me. So now we're going to be taking a break very shortly, but I just wanted to say once again, as always, thank you for watching this show. And I hope it's helping you to understand that there's other ways around this. And the problem that most people have, they can't take the plunge. Oh, hey, that sounds nice what this guy's saying. Or they'll tell somebody, you know, I heard this guy on the television, or I read it somewhere, heard something on the radio about this. And they'll tell them, you don't want to do that. That's not proven. That's not this, that's not that. But all I can say to those people is that you don't know until you do it. And then you make your decision. Don't go by what other people tell you. Just take your own shot at it. And what happens if it works? Very good. So we're going to be taking a break now. And we're back on the third half. We're going to be talking about Chinese herbs. Hey, we'll see you then.
Shelter them, we all need to comfort them too. The people provide them respect, God will provide them love. Indian elders pray for them, soon it will rain as love. love and respect the elders them. Soon it will rain us love. Soon it will rain us love. Soon it will rain us love. Soon it will rain us love.
Hey, we're back to the third half of the show now. This is the herb part of the show, which I'm going to have them put up the name of the formula I'm going to be doing. It's a formula called Yasho-san. I can't even pronounce it now. Yasho-san. Nope, that's not it. The herb, the title number, Yasho-san. It's X, that's it. This is a formula that's 5,000 years ago, and what's the formula does, it coordinates the function of the liver and the spleen. It regulates the stagnation of the energy in the liver, and it replenishes the blood. So those are key issues that, in the case of autoimmune disease, you want to coordinate the liver and the spleen. You also want to relieve the stagnation of the liver. Because once again, you got to detox the liver. And you got to replenish the blood. In the past, we did shows on cleaning out the liver. And a few times, like I would run into somebody and they'll tell me, well, I do a liver flush. I do this, I do that to clean out my liver, which is fine. But the problem is, which is different when we do an herbal liver cleanser, we're strengthening the organ. We're just not cleaning it out. You're detoxifying the liver, but you got to make it so that the energy of the liver is back to normal. Cleaning it is one thing, energizing it is something else. So what we're going to do, because we're going to talk about the herbs, of course, and also for people who go to Chinese herb stores and buy, Chinese patents. Patents are already pre-made Chinese formulas. And we're going to bring it up very shortly, a list of herbs that have gluten in it. So if you're a person who has inspiration, aspirations to heal themselves and go to a Chinese herb store, and there's one in New Haven. There's also, if you go to Chinatown in New York or Chinatown in Boston, you can pick up all these patent herbs. Even there's one in New Haven, but also there's a grocery store. And they got a very few patents, but they do have them. You need to, when we get to that panel, so you can actually see, and they're going to put it up long enough. If you're a person that is venturing out and trying to use Chinese herbs on your own without consulting a practitioner, these are the herbs you got to watch out for. Just like, for instance, another two herbs that, if you're taking a blood thinner, the two herbs you have to stay away from is cinnamon and licorice, because those are herbal blood thinners. And I was using it to alternate the taste of the herbs. But I was working with a person who has severe, he's taking blood thinners already. So he's drinking the herbs. We're doing a UTI. And he calls me up and says, is there any herbs in there that's blood thinners? And then when I realized that, oh, I put in cinnamon and I put in cinnamon and licorice. So the first herb we're going to talk about is chai hu, which should be this one here. I didn't get my labels made, but they will be there the next time. But see, chai hu is buperm. This is one of the #1 herbs that clean out the liver. This is one of the #1 herbs to clean it out. Sorry about the label. The new label was going to be set, but I had to leave. It relieves the stagnation of the liver qi. It elevates the vital energy of the spleen. It's an antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory. It lowers the blood cholesterol. It's used for fatty livers and chronic hepatitis. We didn't do a show on fatty livers, but there was an article in the New York Times Sunday about a year ago, and it was talking about fatty livers. I've never heard of it, a person having a fatty liver. But now I do because I read the article. But what the whole thing, and the reason I brought it up when I did it on the show was that the doctors are telling these people who have the fatty livers that they need to change their lifestyle, change their diet, and the doctors were perplexed because all the people were asking them, is there a pill I can take? Interesting. Is there a pill I can take so they don't have to work for their health? Okay, the next herb I'm going to do is an herb called Dan Gui. I didn't put them in order. Dan Gui, I'm running out. I thought I had more. I'm running out. Because this is an herb that's used a lot. It's used in a lot of blood formulas. It's used in a lot of blood formulas because, see, it says tonifies the blood. And that's what, there's even point, like, used to say that Miller High Life was a lady's beer. And Dan Gui, they tell you, is a woman's herb. But everybody uses it. But I use it a lot because it nourishes the blood. It invigorates the blood circulation. It lowers the blood cholesterol. It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. It prevents the decrease of the liver glucose and protects the liver. Again, what is his first two herbs that we did were herbs that are going to work on the liver, protect the liver, and some they're both antibacterial, antiviral, because again, we're cleaning out the liver, but we're making it strong too. Because by cleaning it out, you're making it strong as opposed to just like throwing a water hose through it. You want to make sure you throw the water hose, but you want to get it so it's starting to activate more. Okay. So lots of fun. The Dan Gui, there's even a blood tonic when you when you do tonify the blood when you're in herb school, and even acupuncture school when you're doing herbs. It's called Dan Gui 4, and there's 4 herbs that uses this, and that's your basic blood tonic. So if a person just uses this will help them tonify the blood. The next one is called Bai Shao. It's called white peony, which is the one next to it. Okay, white peony. And white peony, this is part of the blood, the Dan Gui 4. This is one of the herbs that go into it. See, again, it tonifies the blood. It balances the vital function of the liver. Once again, we're working on the liver. Because by working on the liver, you're going to build up the immune system of the body itself. Because normally, the immune system, and most times, is the spleen and the lungs. The liver in Chinese medicine is the general of the body. It dictates all the orders. And as a matter of fact, if you look, it says the meridians are the liver and the spleen. Again, it balances the vital function of the liver, it nourishes the blood, and it consolidates the yin, which is the vital essence of our cells. It smooths the liver qi and relieves pain. It's good for night sweats. It lowers the blood pressure. It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and it's anti-ulcer. I had a knee that had an ulcer problem, and I made a formula and I used this, and the ulcer got better. I'm glad she called. And again, this is used a lot, this white peony. And it's used, again, in coordination with Don Gui. But again, so far, the first 3 herbs we talked about, they're all dealing with the liver. But the first one is dealing with the liver and the spleen. Okay, the next one is called Bai Shu. Bai Shu, it's right here. Right here. Bai Shu is white astragallotis. It's white astragallotis, and it tonifies the spleen and the vital energy. It increases the secretion of the juice of the stomach and the intestines. It lowers the blood sugar, it increases body weight and muscle strength, and it's antibacterial. Now this, hey, look at that snappy label. Thank you, dear Lisa, my daughter. Again, this herb is good for the spleen because it tonifies the spleen. And so what happens was, the first formula, could you put up the 4 gentlemen, please? I just want to go on a little side. One of the first formulas you learn when you're about tonifications, you learn about the 4 gentlemen. And one of the herbs are there, see, it's right there, is white astragallotis. We got the Fu Ling, and we also got the Canco, we got the licorice. So just to show you how these herbs fall into place. And this is one of the first formulas for tonifying the qi that you learn in school. Okay, you can take it off now. Okay, again, tonifies the spleen and the vital energy, increases the secretion of the juices of the stomach and the intestines. Once again, we have to work on the digestion. And that's what the spleen does. It helps with the digestion going to the rest of the whole body. See, again, we want to get the digestion and the body and the spleen and the stomach functioning. Again, once it's a healthy system, everything goes good. Everything is moving along. The next herb we're going to talk about is Fu Ling. And we just showed you on that little thing about the 4 gentlemen. This is the other one. One of the other, okay. That's one of the other components of that. But the difference is, this one it deals with the water flow. It promotes wetness. See what this does, and this is why I can't really do it, because it's a diuretic. It's not a total diuretic, but it regulates the water metabolism and resolves dampness. It's a diuretic. It reinforces the spleen and the stomach, and it lowers the blood sugar, and it pacifies the heart. It's like a sedative too. And you could put this formula for insomnia. Insomnia is just a blood deficiency problem. It's just the blood doesn't have enough energy, and that's why people don't sleep. As I said, this one is used because in Chinese medicine, the spleen has to be in a dry environment. Because you see all these people drinking water. Again, I don't mean to pick on people that are obese or overweight. It's that I see them walking, and they always got a bottle of water with them. And I'm going, you're not going to lose any weight, because they're just constantly drinking. Partially, they're drinking because, one, unless the weather is really hot, they're sweating a lot, of course. But take it in a situation where the weather is not hot and people are walking around with water bottles, just constantly drinking. And they say, well, I can't lose any weight. because the spleen has to be in a dry climate. But you're over drinking, you're just flooding, you're bloating. Nothing's going to happen. Again, I was talking to a woman today about how much water should you drink. And it comes down to, you have to look at your color of your urine. If your urine is yellow, you're okay. But if it's clear, you're overworking your kidneys. That means you don't have to drink every 5 minutes. And by then, hopefully, most likely you start dropping weight. Because normally people, and they'll tell you, when they first go on a diet, when they're really serious about losing weight, the first pounds they lose is the water weight, the water that's been absorbed. So that's the problem. So people who are on diets are trying to, and they're just still keeping the water, and I can't believe I can't lose any weight. Again, you got to work on your spleen. The next herb we're going to do is an herb called bohea. It's actually peppermint. And it relieves the stagnation of the liver qi. That's a bad label. It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. It eliminates the production of mucus or phlegm. I use this during the wintertime, mostly for colds, and then I use it in the spring for allergies or seasonal allergies, because when you cook the herbs, you put this at the end. When it's the first cooking, you put this in and let it steep. Just the mere steeping, when I'm doing it, it just opens up my nasal cavities. So now what happens after that, the people drink this and it just opens up your nasal cavities. And it's one of, if the people who watch the show, every year I get seasonal allergies. I've never been diagnosed with it, but my eyes are itchy, I'm blowing my nose, the mucus is profusely coming out, and I'm definitely gouging my eyes out. So every year I drink herbs for about a week, and it clears up. This year, I only drank them one day. I guess the pollen is because our weather has not been severely hot. I don't know if the pollen level is up like it used to be at this time of the year, but I only drank it like maybe one day, and my sinuses cleared up completely. Let's go herbs. Let's go herbs. Okay, the next herb I'm going to do is called Shikanko. I don't have a label on it because I ran out of the house. This one here, this is baked licorice. And it's honey baked. It's licorice that's been honey baked. And this is also in that fourth gentleman for tonifying the qi. It tonifies the spleen and the vital energy. Once again, we're talking about, we were saying before that one of the syndromes that in Chinese medicine is a spleen qi deficiency. This is going to help to raise the spleen qi and to keep it, as it tonifies the spleen and the vital energy. So that's another key. You want to tonify, once again, we're tonifying the organs. The qi that goes through, it's like the electricity that goes through your body, and it goes to each organ. And the problem that people have is that organ is shut down, and it cannot fire up. It's like an automotive comparison is like the pistons in a car, if they're not, or the spark plugs in the car. If they're not firing, the car's not going to move. They're like buck or whatever. But see, that's what people have in our society. We have organs that are not functioning. The next organ, the next herb I'm going to take, which I don't have a label because I ran out of the house. Now this one is not part, it's called Yuan Qi. Yuan Qi. Yuan Qi. Okay. It's called Yuan Qi, and it's called polygonous root. This herb is not in the ancient form. This is what I call Sha Yang Sang with a twist. This herb here, it's for pent-up emotions. And it's for stress. There is an herb for stress. It's called polygonus. And so what I do, and I say every now and then, like if it's a person who's really stressed out, I'll put this in the formula. And it got to a point I was putting it in everybody's formula because everybody tended to be stressed out. But this one here is for pent-up emotions. So now with the celiac and the emotions, I'm putting this into it to help them to regulate their emotions. Again, a lot of emotions come out of the liver. So in Chinese medicine, they have emotions. The emotion of the liver is anger. And so a lot of pent-up emotion is anger. Like, you don't have to pent up joy. But so what this does, it just calms you down. It's a sedative, a tranquilizer. It's also good for insomnia. It lowers the blood pressure. Once again, if you lower your stress, you lower your blood pressure. And it's antibacterial too. Once again, it's always good to have, most herbs are antibacterial. So they're working and they're overworking to help you get your balance back, get your body back into balance. The last herb that I'm going to talk about, and I don't have it, so I have to just talk without seeing it. It's called Xinjia. Xinjia is fresh ginger. I thought we had some at home, and I didn't. I just completely forgot as I'm driving. I said, oh, I'm supposed to stop at Edge of the Woods to pick some ginger up. But what the ginger does, it works on the digestion. It increases the secretion of gastric juices. It's antifungal, and it works on gallstones too. I went to the Kushi Institute in Boston for microbiotics. And I was just looking at a book the other day because it reminded me, a friend, she had gallstones. And this is before I went to herb school and all this stuff, before I went on my soul journey. That I looked up in the book, and what they told to do was get some ginger. And you boil it. And the boiling water, then you take a towel and you put it right on top of your abdominal. It's going to open up and the gallstones are going to go through. I told it to the woman. I made a copy of it. This is what you need to do. Next time I saw her, she said, how you doing? She said, they took my gallbladder out. All right. Next, let's move on. She took her gallbladder out, and I'm going, why? So now you gotta watch the greasy foods and all that stuff because you don't have that organ to help to get that bile to break that stuff down. We're running out. We're getting near the end of the show. Can you put up those herbs about the gluten herbs so I can quickly go through them? Okay. If people, they're going to keep this up just for a few moments. If you look at these herbs and you go to a Chinese herb store to get some herbs, if you have a gluten or celiac, these herbs you cannot digest. The first one is floating wheat. The second one is qi gyou. It's a herb that's used in a lot of weight loss formulas. So if you have weight loss and you're thinking about using a formula and you're using patents, which are pills, you can't use that herb. You can't use the next herb, which is mai yai. Mai yai is a barley. And the next one after that is ying tao. That's a barley. And that has the gluten in it too. Dan dao shi, that's soybeans. I use that a lot during the winter in a formula called yin chow. So if you have colds, sicknesses, and you go and somebody tells you, use yin chow. If you have gluten, don't use it because it has the dan dao shi in it. That's soybeans, prepared soybean. Next one after that is he shu wu. He shu wu, it's good for the blood, and it's good for, I've yet to see if it works, it's good for keeping the gray out of your hair. I've yet to see that done because a lot of Chinese people I know have really black hair. And those last two is Xing Ring and Tao Ring. Xing Ring is apricot seeds, and the Tao Ring is peach seeds. They use those in a lot of formulas for blood stagnation, pain formulas. Every now and then they'll put Tao Ring and a lot of cough formulas. That's what it is. A lot of people who got coughs, look at your cough syrups because they might have Xing Ring and they might have Tao Ring. Whew. Okay, now we're getting to the end of the show. I just want to, as always, thank the crew for coming out. And because if there's no crew, we have no show. At least we don't have a good show. And I just want to thank all the people who watch the show as always. And we're here to help you. And also watch these show programs on this television station because you'll be amazed at some of the shows that come on here. And it's just people just trying to reach out and being creative and trying to get to you to watch. But if you don't watch, you're not going to know. And if people see me, and it still amazes me, people stop me, hey, aren't you the Herb Man? Yes, I am. So until next month, I'm just going to say goodbye. And we'll see. Take care of yourself. Watch your diet. Get some exercise. And above all, work on your spirituality. If you go to church, you go to the temple, you go to the mosque. Go and just get that vibe going, people. Because we got to rain us love, and we need it. Don't put your umbrella up, just let it fall all over you. And that's what we need. Until next month, goodbye.
Shout to them, we all need to comfort them too. The people provide them respect, God will provide them love.